Hello, and welcome to another episode of How I Grow, featuring the finish and harvest for my Tangie Autoflower, and the bulking phase of the Amnesia Haze. In this episode, I'll be doing a little bit of experimenting, and correcting some major issues that I introduce. Both of these plants had similar issues, and I hope that I can help you to understand what went wrong. A big thank you to Spiderfarmer for sponsoring this video. Make sure to use code BASEMENT for a discount from their official websites. Today, the Amnesia Haze is around mid-week 2 of bloom. She's mostly done stretching, and is now going to be bulking up her bud sites. She's in a 7-gallon or 27-liter pot, filled with Shultz premium potting mix, which contains time-release nutrients. Normally, around week 2 of bloom, I'd start feeding the soil with Florinova Bloom, CalMag, and Cool Bloom. But this time, I wanted to try adding worm castings and Gaia Green 284 Power Bloom. I top dressed the soil with about 600 mils of worm castings and 250 mils of Power Bloom. In hindsight, this was way too much. Anyways, I understand that it'll take some time for the dry amendments to take effect, so I mixed 10 mils of CalMag, 10 mils of Florinova Bloom, and 10 mils of Cool Bloom into 8 liters of water to water it in. The pH of the solution is around 6, so I add some potassium hydroxide to raise that up to about 6.5. The 8 liters of nutrient water yielded about 1 liter of runoff. The runoff tested at about 1600 ppm concentration with a pH of 5.6. 1600 ppm is a lot, but that shouldn't be too much. The pH being 5.6 is a bit too low. 2 days later, I checked up on the garden, and my AC unit, well, it hasn't been keeping up with the summer heat wave, and my temperatures are around 30 degrees Celsius, which is 86 degrees Fahrenheit. The combination of high heat with high concentration of nutrients at a low pH is a recipe for disaster. Today, the soil wasn't completely dry, but with the heat wave, I figured it'd be okay to give her about 2 liters of water. I probably should have waited until the soil had dried back just a little bit more. Three days later, and this poor girl is looking very angry. Leaves are burning, stems are turning purple, and growth has slowed down. At this stage, I decided to abort mission. I'm going to remove the top layer of top dressing and try to adjust the pH in the soil. Dolomitic lime can be useful to help raise the pH in the soil. It takes a few weeks for this to take effect, so I'll need to do more to fix the immediate problem. The concentration of nutrients in the soil needs to be reduced, so I flush around 20 liters or 5 gallons of dechlorinated tap water through the soil. After doing this, the runoff ppm was reading around 1000, which is much more suitable for this stage of growth. The Tangie plant is experiencing some similar problems, which we addressed in episode 14. The Walmart soil has time-release nutrients, which is continuously activating, which pushes the ppm in the soil from 1000 up to 3000 in a matter of weeks. This soil also has the problem of its pH being too low. 2 days later, and it's time to take some action against the low pH in my soil. My dechlorinated tap water has a pH of around 7 to 7.5, so I'll be adding some potassium hydroxide to increase the pH to around 10. I was curious if flushing high pH water through the plant would help raise the pH in the soil. The runoff pH was still close to 6, judging by the liquid indicator drops. The color of the test file was still a little bit more orange than it was green. I then watered the plant with about 6 liters of water with 10 mils of CalMag mixed in. The runoff ppm is at a good value of around 1000, and the pH level has raised up to about 6.1 from 5.6, which is a nice improvement. I then scraped off some of the remaining worm castings from the top of the soil. I then watered the plant with the rest of the CalMag solution. And the runoff pH was back down to 5.9. The next day, I was reading how baking soda can be useful to raise the pH in the soil. The sodium isn't great for plants, but the bicarbonate's interaction in the soil can make the difference. I had added 15 mils or 1 tablespoon of baking soda into 1 gallon or roughly 4 liters of water. There was no immediate change to the pH of the runoff, but we'll see how that changes in a few days. 3 days later, and the soil had not visibly dried out at all. I was curious if the roots were rotting, so I wanted to take a look for myself. They're not looking too bad. There's no funny smell, so I think we're okay. I was online in my community Discord, which you can find a link for in the description of the video, and I asked if I should leave the plant outside of the pot to assist with drying the root mass, kind of like an air pot. Unfortunately, the people who were online voted that I should put her back. You guys are no fun. On a side note, my outdoor thistle garden is thriving, and the bees are loving the blooms. I'd like to take a moment to give Spiderfarmer a huge thank you for sponsoring this video. Without Spiderfarmer, my videos wouldn't be possible. I like experimentation, but I think that it's probably best to form your plan at the start and then execute on it, unlike what I've done with my Walmart soil in this video. If you're going to start a new garden, I think that is best to start with a quality light to ensure that your garden has the potential for greatness. Spiderfarmer has some of the best lights available for your indoor garden. Spiderfarmer lights provide a very even distribution of light across your canopy while running very cool. Light intensity can be a bit of a controversial topic. My opinion is that when you're giving ideal nutrients and air circulation, 600 ppfd is the ideal light intensity that you want to be giving your seedlings and early veg plants. 750 is great for plants in late veg. I like to allow my plants to stretch up to about 1000 ppfd during bloom, or if they don't make it or stretch too far, I'll either adjust the height of my light or give my plants a little bit of a booster seat. Spiderfarmer lights allow you to hit these numbers with ease. Consider Spiderfarmer if you're looking to take your garden to the next level. Make sure to use code BASEMENT for an 8% discount off products from their official websites. There's a link in the description. Or use BASEMENT3 for a 3% discount from Spiderfarmer products from Amazon. And again, thank you Spiderfarmer for sponsoring this video. The next day, I was thinking about harvesting the Tangie Auto. Let's check the trichomes to see how mature the bud is becoming. I'm seeing mostly cloudy trichomes and a few amber trichomes. It's ideal to harvest when the trichome heads are between 5 to 30% amber. 7 days have passed. The Amnesia Haze in the back right is extremely angry looking now. Seeing your plant like this can be a gut-wrenching experience. I still hadn't fixed my air conditioner in my house, so temperatures in the tent were very hot. Today, I'll be mixing up some nutrients for her as I normally would. In about 6 liters of water, I added 10 mils of CalMag, 10 ml of Florinova Bloom, and 10 mils of Liquid Cool Bloom. I then raised the pH to be around 6.5 to 6.8. You can see how the vial with the indicator drops in it is much more of a green yellow rather than an orange yellow. With the amount of water that I gave her, she had about 250 mils of runoff. I then took a little bit of time to make her look a little bit better by removing the dead leaves to hide the evidence. Unfortunately, she's in the state where there's no hiding it. The Tangie plant did very well in veg with her training, but in bloom, she suffered the curse of the Walmart soil, and isn't going to yield very much. This plant and the Amnesia Haze are the last 2 plants that I'll be blooming using the Shultz Premium Potting Mix. I think that the pre-blended mixture can be a bit too inconsistent, and that there's better quality alternatives available. To prepare this plant for hang drying, I'm going to remove most of the large leaves and then just chop the plant at the base and hang her up at the top of my tent. Normally, I would dry in the dark, but I like to be able to capture the drying time-lapse. Many of you have expressed how you like to see the buds shrink as the water weight evaporates from the plant. I haven't noticed any difference in the quality of the bud, so I don't mind drying it this way. The smell of this plant is amazing. The density is good, and the potency is pretty good. I've thoroughly enjoyed this plant, although it's too bad that the yield is so low. But that was my fault. If I snap this trunk in the center like a wishbone, would you be team left or team right? Pick a side and make a wish. And there you have it, 29 grams. Now, this adventure isn't all doom and gloom. I hope you're excited to see the Amnesia Haze recover and pack on some bulk. It's been 4 days since her last watering, and the soil is dry. Since the last watering, her health has significantly improved. The pH in the soil has improved slightly, and she likes that her soil has a good amount of nutrients in it. Today, I'll be watering her with the same solution as last time. I'll be adding into 6 liters of water 10 mils of CalMag, 10 mils of Florinova Bloom, and 10 mils of Liquid Cool Bloom, pH to be between 6.5 and 6.8. In hindsight, when I had originally flushed her after removing the top dressing of organics and added the baking soda, I probably should have then watered with this mixture of nutrients. In the future, I'll make sure to use quality growing mediums, which I can have better control over. Doing so will prevent these problems from arising and spiraling out of control. I'll also be adding a little bit of dolomitic lime into my growing mediums to help the pH in the soil maintain closer to around 6.5. I think that even though the ppm in the runoff was coming out at around 1,000, which is quite a lot, the plant was being starved from the flush, and as we can see, 4 days from the last watering, she's starting to look pretty good. Today, since the soil is dry, I'll be giving her another 6 to 7 liters of dechlorinated tap water, with 10 mils of CalMag, 10 mils of Florinova Bloom, and 10 mils of Liquid Cool Bloom, pH to be around 6.5 to 6.8. Four days later, the soil is dry, so I'll be mixing up another batch of nutrients for her. In about 6 to 7 liters of water, I'll be adding 10 mils of CalMag, 10 mils of Florinova Bloom, and 10 mils of Cool Bloom, pH to be around 6.5 to 6.8. The ppm of the runoff is around 1900, which is getting pretty high. I think that the time-released nutrients in the soil is to blame for this. She could use another flush to bring the levels back down to around 1000 to 1500 ppm. I'm just happy to see the pH of the runoff is around 6.3. I think what's more important than the quantity of nutrients in the soil, the ppms, is the quality of the ppms that the plant has access to. The time-released nutrients that come pre-blended into this medium just aren't cutting it. 7 days later, and the soil is dry. Today, in the 6 to 7 liters of water, I'll be adding 15 mils of CalMag, 10 mils of Florinova Bloom, and 15 mils of Liquid Cool Bloom. The Gaia Green living soil that I had been using for a different plant had introduced fungus gnats into the dent, so I'll be adding some diatomaceous earth to the top of the soil to help rid of them. Five days later, in 6 to 7 liters of water, I'll be mixing in 10 mils of CalMag, 10 mils of Florinova Bloom, 10 mils of Liquid Cool Bloom, as well as a little bit of Dry Cool Bloom, pH'd to be around 6.5 to 6.8. There must have been only about 6 liters of water since there was barely any runoff. The deepwater cultured cheese plant is really blowing up in size, and is making the Amnesia Haze look small. Today, I'll be topping up the deepwater culture plant's reservoir, and then watering the Amnesia Haze with the remaining water. In about 16 liters of water, I'll be mixing in 20 mils of CalMag, 20 mils of Florinova Bloom, and 20 mils of Liquid Cool Bloom. I'll be using some phosphoric acid to lower the pH down to around 5.8 to 6 for the deepwater culture plant. I then adjusted it back up to about 6.5 to 6.8 for the soil plant. I hope you enjoyed this episode of How I Grow. If you like this video, leave a like and subscribe to stay tuned for my next upload. Thank you so much for watching. Another big thank you to Spiderfarmer for sponsoring this video. Make sure to use code BASEMENT for a discount.